Hi folks, welcome to Starry Night Guitars. My name is Rich Kettner. Today I'm going to talk about Eastman Guitars. I have 3 of them, but I'm going to share 2 of them in particular. I started my journey with Eastman Guitars about 7 or 8 years ago. I bought an AR371, which is kind of their version of a Gibson ES175. Difference is the Gibson new costs you at least $6,000. And the AR371 cost, I think, like $750. I bought it sight unseen on different articles that I read and things online, and I was very pleased with it. And since then, I'm a true believer in Eastman. So this guitar is called the T59V. The reason it's the 59 is supposed to look like obviously like a 335, right? But the V means vintage. So it's supposed to look like it's a 59 and like it has some wear, and it was virtually brand new. So I'm sure if you guys can see, like right here on the bout, let me get the camera closer. It looks like there's wear from playing it. Also on the back, the neck, you can see, it looks like it's been played hundreds and hundreds of hours. And the back of the guitar as well, there's some little thin spots. But I'm not sure how well the light's catching it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful finish on this guitar. So get out of my face. If I get more light on the guitar. And you can see even the edges a little bit where it's worn. The whole idea of relic guitars, some people have very strong feelings about that. Totally opposed to it. All the scratches and dents and dings should all come from you. Other people think it's a cool look. The whole vintage idea had no impact on me at all. I just saw a review online. There's a guy I follow named Rich Severson, great guitar player, has really good videos. And he just said great things about this guitar. What I love about it, I used to have an Eastman semi-hollow body, an AS200 I bought back in the early 70s, probably 82. And had it for a couple of years, and that was the guitar John Scofield played for years and years. They're beautiful, beautiful guitars. I probably paid maybe $400 for it. And like a dummy, I let go of it in, I think, the late 80s, early 90s, and I've always regretted it. And I've regretted it until I got this guitar. This guitar is just a beast. These pickups are Seymour Duncan Antiquities, sound amazing. Now, I kind of tend to lean toward jazz, or improvised music anyway, and I don't use a lot of distortion. And I find that this guitar in clean settings, I think it really shines, especially when you have both pickups on and a blend. For clean blues stuff, wow, just so beautiful. Also has an ebony fingerboard and just comfortable. The only thing I don't like about the guitar, it's kind of heavy, because I'm old. I'm 64 and a half, and I'd like it to be lighter. It has the solid block through the guitar, kind of like 335s do, so it makes it a little heavier. Eastman does make some guitars. I believe it's I think they're called MX, 184, 185, 186. Referring to the size down here, this is 16 inches. So there's one that's fully hollow, the 84, 85, 86, I guess are lighter. And that might lend itself more to a jazz sound. I don't know. But this, as long as you have a good strap, I mostly play seated anyway, but I love this guitar. And what I love about it is if I played, I could do a jazz gig. I put a jazz on the neck pickup, I can roll the tone off a bit, I get a really nice warm, darker sound here. I also play in worship bands. When I do that, I tend to use this guitar, middle pickup, and blend the two. And if I wanted to scream, if I played something where I had overdrive and go just to the bridge, it just sounds amazing. It's great. So, brilliant, brilliant guitar. I think well worth the money. My other hollow body is a John Pisano. This one is called a John Pisano 380. And they make 3 John Pisanos, a 380, a 680, and an 880. Now, what I love about this guitar, it has a beautiful finish for starters, but that's not the reason I got it. It's a little smaller body, so it's not as thick maybe as a 175, but it's comfortable to hold. It's very, very light. And it just has beautiful appointments. Ebony fingerboard, ebony pickguard, ebony tailpiece, ebony bridge, and also another cool feature it has the truss rod. If you're a person who travels a bit, if you're a gigging musician, very often guys get to different climates and they need to make adjustments to the neck. If you're comfortable doing that yourself. On this guitar, it has a magnetic truss rod, so it pops right off. You have easier access to it, pop it back on. Now, to be honest, I've never touched that, but kind of a cool feature. So what I really love about it, one, it's light. I love this pick guard. I tend to play when I pick and my pinky kind of tends to be out. And on this guitar, it's small enough. You can see it's kind of a pretty small pick guard. And with it being ebony, my hand just slides across it. I find when I play on guitars with plastic pick guards, if my hand starts to sweat at all, it gets kind of tacky. It might stick a bit. That never happens on here. The fingerboard is beautiful. It's just so comfortable to play. You might notice there are no markers on the fingerboard. So for some people, younger players might be like, wow, I need to know where I am. That could be a little disorienting. However, there are markers on the edge of the fingerboard. So that's cool. Now, I've not tried this out, but my understanding is if you're playing, say, in a dark club, if I'm sitting here playing, I can see the frets. So I know where I am. I tend to hold the guitar where it's kind of up like this anyway, and I can only see this edge rather than having to look down like that. I didn't share the prices. I think for the T59V, I paid around $1,600, I believe. Bought it online. Again, it was sight unseen. I just read a bunch of stuff about it. And this one, the Pisano, I think it was more like $1,400, somewhere around there. And so one minus, if you're making like the pros and cons of the value of Eastman guitars, I read a lot of things that say they don't hold their value as well. I want to turn around and sell this guitar. I'm going to maybe get my money out of it, probably not the money I put into it. As well as the other one, even though it's a great guitar. Some people are still real hung up on the name. It's got to say Gibson on the headstock or Fender or whatever. I learned that lesson back when I bought that Ibanez in the 80s. I was done with that. You know, I would love to have an ES-175, but I can't justify spending that kind of money. Also, if I'm going to a gig, I'm getting paid $50 for a gig, I'm not going to bring a $6,000 guitar and have some knucklehead hit it and falls down and breaks and then, ooh, sorry. Right? I mean, I would hate to see this get broken, but this is a lot more affordable. I feel comfortable taking it out of my house and playing. And this guitar, 2 pickups down here, tone or volume tone, pickup selector. I mostly use just a neck pickup, and again, roll back the tone some. It tends to be a little bright, so I've experimented with flat wounds. It came with round wounds. I now use a half round, which I didn't even know that existed. A friend of mine mentioned this online, and his guitar sounded great. He had the same guitar, and they were half round, D'Addarios, and I kind of like that. It's still kind of bright, but it's not a dull sound, but it's not too bright and kind of eliminates some of the finger squeak. So the guitar, if there was a con, it can be kind of on the bright end. Obviously, again, it's not a big, thick body, so it's not going to sound like a Gibson L5. But for solo guitar work, it sounds great. And I tend to do a lot of that, just solo work by myself. So I can have a little small amp, turn it down soft, and get a beautiful, warm tone. And it's a very comfortable guitar to play. So all that to say, I'm not endorsed by Eastman Guitar. I would love to be. I'm not. Just if you're looking for guitars, and maybe you want to get a jazz guitar, they have lower end ones than this. This is kind of the middle of their pack. The AR, I mentioned the AR, what is it? I'm blanking out now. Oh my gosh. 371, there we go. The AR371, they no longer make that guitar. Now they have a 372. So it was a single pickup. Now they have them with 2 pickups. But the prices are kind of slowly climbing as people kind of discover Eastman guitars. But you could probably get a used one for a pretty good deal. They're great guitars for younger players, people dipping their toe into jazz, or students that don't have a big budget. So check them out. You might be pleased. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please share it with a friend or consider liking this. And again, enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey of making music. God bless.